Hey guys, so Halloween just passed, and if you're a guy like me, I guess you guys went trick-or-treating. Unless you lived in my area where it rained at 7 o'clock and you kind of went out at 7 o'clock instead of 5:30 like the other people did, so the houses closed like pretty quick. So instead I kind of invited some friends over to my house to watch some horror movies, because, you know, I couldn't go trick-or-treating. And the ones I wanted to invite weren't available, yay! So I invited some people who never been to my house that I haven't seen in a long time to come over to my house to watch horror movies instead. And lucky or unlucky enough, they were available. So for different reasons, we're going to be keeping the identities of these guys out of this video. And keep in mind that they said that I could choose the horror movie that we were going to watch that night. So the horror movie that I kind of chose was a found footage horror movie that was foreign language. The horror movie is called Wreck. It was made in 2007. I highly recommend it to you guys. And so we kind of start the movie, and at first it was great. It was probably the best part of the night because there was absolute silence amongst the audience. It was just the exposition part of the movie, so it was the part of the movie where the audience gets to absorb the information that they are presented to them on screen. But nearing the first act, oh my god, that's when it started. Frank basically goes up to me and said, "Yo, Richmond, is this real?" I didn't know that he was not familiar with the found footage format of making a movie, so I was just like, huh, maybe I can leave it ambiguous to him. And I thought that would kind of help his horror movie viewing experience, because then it's just like, oh, is this actually real? Oh, and like it creates that tension for him as an audience member. So I was just like, I'll tell you after. But all it did was make it worse. Frank would just repeatedly ask me if it was a true story. And of course I kind of went out to him and I said, no, it's not a true story. It's kind of the format of the movie. And after I told him, he basically went up to me and was just like, oh, this movie kind of sucks. And I was thinking to myself, well, okay, it's not for everyone. Everybody has their own distinct taste. I can't force them into liking that movie. But he kind of walked into it when he said, I get to choose the movie that we were going to watch that night. So he either had the option of leaving or staying to watch the rest of it. He stayed to watch the rest of it, but he was an annoying asshat about it. During parts of the movie, he would talk about how nauseating the shaky cam was, how annoying and dumb the girls sounded, and how The Walking Dead was better than the movie that we were watching. And since he was so disinterested in watching the movie anyway, when he wasn't talking during the movie, he would take out his phone and put the brightness at maximum to check out like some baseball results with the New York Mets or something like that, or Royals or whatever. I don't know. I don't follow baseball. But basically, during other parts of the movie, he would go over to Howard and tell him the baseball results while I'm in the middle of the couch. But what Howard did was just as worse. Basically, during the movie, he would get up and try to get something in the kitchen, right? And since the layout of my basement is that this is the living room, this is the kitchen, and this is the bathroom, right? So when you turn on the lights in the kitchen, the light kind of pours in from the kitchen into the living room, right? So during the movie, when he would try to get something in the kitchen, when he opens the light pours into the living room during the movie where you're supposed to be immersed in the characters' drama and within the action. Okay. This is just a little bit more understandable because you can't really control the whether or not you're kind of hungry or whether or not you're thirsty. So that's kind of a little understandable, but it still does break the immersion of the film, which is kind of annoying. But there was one thing that he did in particular that was kind of similar to that, and he had no excuse for what he did. So basically, he went into the washroom, going to wash his hands. If you were to turn the lights on in the washroom, you would think that you would close the door, you know? But no, he leaves the door wide open for the light to pour in on the side of the living room, which was really, really distracting. This really agitated me during the end of the movie. When the movie ended, Frank just went up to me and talking about how it sucked and paled in comparison to The Walking Dead. You know, just rubbing salt into the wound. And Howard pulled out his phone to kind of check out some stuff. And I wanted to get myself out of that mood, out of that agitated, frustrated mood. So I decided to watch a movie that had a kind of a different tone to it. It was kind of a documentary that I was going to watch tonight. The documentary is called Dear Zachary, a letter to his son about his father, and it's a documentary that I really recommend. I asked them,
Okay, so guys, you wanna watch another movie?
they said,
Yeah. Sure. I don't see why not. You guys sure? Yeah.
Sure.
and you know what? This movie experience wasn't as bad as the latter, because Frank had basically used up his battery for putting his brightness to its maximum, so he had to lower the brightness. So it wasn't as noticeable as before. But it was still pretty bad. You see, Howard thought it would be a good idea to watch a Twitch live stream during the movie. So basically, during the quiet parts of the movie, all I could hear was... I tried to block it out. I tried increasing the volume of the TV so I couldn't barely hear the noise of his Twitch, and I tried to block it out so I wouldn't lose my marbles. Oh, but what made me lose my marbles was when Frank went up to me and said,
What? What is this over?
So I told him, get out. And I went to bed instead because they kind of ruined the movie for me, and I wanted to watch the movie later when I was in a less frustrated state. So the moral of the story is, don't be a douchebag when you're watching a movie with other people. And the other moral of the story is, Halloween really sucks when you have terrible friends.